this was the left hook that came out of nowhere last week. And it's really funny how this happened. Where it was Thursday, like it was like Thursday morning, and all of a sudden a few reporters got emailed. I didn't get this email, but a few reporters got emailed from NASA like, "Hey, heads up for a press conference today," which they never do. Like I've never
Right.
seen them ever like give a heads up to people. They just drop a press release and say, "Hey, this is happening." And then Eric Berger
Well, they must wanted they must have wanted the coverage.
they really wanted people to come to this, and Eric Berger from our Technica saw that, tweeted that out, and said like, "I'm hearing this is a big deal," which got everyone really like confused. I think like, what is this press conference happening by NASA? That's like, what are they announcing? And then finally, the actual participants of the press conference came out, and there was people from Hubble and Dr. Z Zurbuchen from NASA's Science Directorate, Associate Administrator for Science, and SpaceX, and Jared Isaacman from the Polaris program.
Yeah.
So we're all just sitting here like, okay, what are they like going to do something with Hubble for Polaris? It turns out, SpaceX and NASA have agreed to a Space Act agreement, which is pretty much kind of like an agreement to do something, pretty much as agreement. And it's an unfunded study, so SpaceX is going to be doing this on their own dime to see if SpaceX is capable of boosting the Hubble into a more stable orbit. That was like kind of like a cool thing to come into Thursday. Like we were all kind of like, it was kind of it was a slow-ish week. We had some days that popped up, but also like nothing huge that came out. And all of a sudden, like
poor Hubble's been taking it on the chin the last like couple months ever since Webb got into got launched.
Yeah,
and, like everybody's just like, Hubble was this, and now this is.
And Hubble is probably one of the most important pieces of scientific equipment like out there. Like there's very few things out there that like has
in our lifetime, dude.
Changed.
In our lifetime.
Yeah, that has changed like humanity's look of space. The images that Hubble came out with when it first got launched were just incredible, even though they were a little blurry. But it's kind of been, it's not like it has gone away from relevance. Like it's still doing a lot of science alongside Webb. One thing they mentioned during the when they announced the first images from Webb was Hubble is still going to be doing a lot of like checking with Webb. So Webb takes a photo, they say they discover something, and then Hubble will kind of like do the same observation. So it's actually kind of important to keep this thing around, and they're down a lot of equipment. Like I think they're down the one computer for all their tasks, and they've lost a couple of gyros, and it's like it's showing its age.
Yeah.
So this mission like is kind of a big deal if they can pull it off. So so Jared Isaacman was talking about, of course, the Polaris program being funded by Jared Isaacman, who flew on Inspiration 4. He's like the founder of a payment system, so he's a billionaire out there doing that kind of stuff. And he made an interesting quote. He said he wanted to leave Hubble better than when they got there, which I think NASA were trying to play down what they were trying to do and said, this is not a servicing mission. Like, we don't want to call this a servicing mission because that can mean a lot of things. Like, it's just a study. We're just looking into this. And Isaacman's just there just going, man, we want to do this thing better. Like, does that mean you want to do a spacewalk?
It sounds like it. I mean, it sounds like they want to do some obviously big time repairs and possibly some upgrades, right? To get it closer to, I don't want to say to Webb, but like at least to
back to what
its
glory. Yeah, kind of back to what it could do.
Yeah, everything on there is like the same thing. 30 plus years old, right? Or 40 plus years old.
Give it kind of like a fresh life or fresh look on life. And right now, like I think the big thing for it is it needs to be boosted up into a higher orbit. Otherwise, there's a chance it won't survive to the 2030s. There's a chance, but it's not a big chance. It's not like, I think it's like something like a 50% chance they'll deorbit within the next 10 years.
Oh, wow.
So so they want to boost it up into orbit.
So Polaris, that's like you get out there, right? You launch a Cybertruck and then you just put it on the tow hitch and you just like tow it up.
That's that what they're doing? It's just gonna be Cybertruck up there towing it, giving it a tow.
Dude, yeah, the one and only one that's available, right? It's gonna go to space.
It's only with the cracked window and everything.
Yeah.
So yeah, the opportunities for this, of course, there's it was a docking port on the back of the Hubble. So when Shuttle did their missions, they had the cannon arm they could attach onto the Hubble, and they could bring that in. Then another arm that astronauts would attach to and move around, because Hubble it's weird. Hubble was designed to be serviced, but also not designed to be serviced at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
Like it has like easy ways of opening it up and like changing out equipment, but there's not like handrails and like ways of like moving around it. So how SpaceX could actually do like a spacewalk to kind of like maybe upgrade things is very much yet to be known. Like it would be very hard for them to do that possibly. But they do have on the last mission, they did install a port on the back, and that port is very similar to the international docking adapter, which is what Dragon and Starliner uses for the International Space Station. So there is a way that they could attach to that, not on the front of Dragon. It would have to be possibly on the rear, or they'd have to make a lot of changes.
Do we think this is a possibility for like a Starship type thing, where they need a bigger craft?
I mean, maybe. I don't know. I mean, I don't want to
totally see Elon saying, "All right, here we go. Here's Starship, bigger craft, and now we have like opposable arms and like similar to like what they had in Shuttle."
Totally possible. I think the biggest hardest thing would be it all depends on the study and like what they find possible, because another option for them is also just totally I don't know. I'm sure NASA, SpaceX won't see this as a viable option because it won't be them. But Northrop Grumman has the mission extension vehicle. It's already been used a few times on payloads out in geostationary orbit, where it just attaches onto the rear of a satellite, because the biggest thing that goes wrong with satellites out in geostationary orbit is they run out of fuel. So you just go out there with another engine with more fuel tanks and just attach it onto the back, and now you have a new vehicle. That's something that they've it's totally possible of doing with this as well, just having something robotically attached to the end. So maybe there won't even be a crew. So this is totally, it's a study. Like that's like the biggest thing to take away from this is it's just a study. Yeah. So
still pretty cool, man.
It's super cool. Like I was just something like I don't think anyone really expected to come out of last week, and now we get to talk about that. Eisman did an interview with Christian Davenport from the Washington Post on Monday, and he talked a lot about the Washington Post has a lot of more general stuff. They don't really get into too many details, but it was a lot about Polaris and the future of space and stuff like that. So he talked a little bit about Hubble, but he tried getting some details out of like crew, like who would you want crew wise, because NASA probably wouldn't want not a noob, but a very experienced. They want someone who's very experienced, probably do the spacewalk.
Yeah, they want some vets on there.
And there is an astronaut. I don't remember his name off the top of my head, but he was on the last servicing mission, STS-125, if I remember correctly. He's still an active astronaut, so there's a possibility they could pull up maybe like an older astronaut who's probably now in management rather than space launches, to kind of pull him out, be like, "Yo, you're going back up there. Your services. You thought you were done. You're servicing Hubble one more time. Get back out there." It'd be like space. Oh, it'd be like Space Cowboys. I don't know how old he is. He could actually be quite young. He could still be totally fit. But I'm just imagining someone from STS-125 like to be like management and hasn't really worried about going to space, and now he's sitting down in an office, goes, "Hey, you got to go to space." Pull some people out of retirement. Like, hey, get back on your feet. Let's go.
Right.
They all show up just like, and they're just you got to do some laps around the gym. So yeah, that's a possibility with Hubble going into the next decade. Probably we probably won't hear about this. For
that's cool. I mean, it's obviously a cool thing. I wonder. I mean, obviously, Elon and Isaacman, they're starting to build a pretty interesting relationship through through SpaceX. So it'll be interesting to see sort of Jared's progression through SpaceX over the next decade and what involvement he starts to have with them. As you know, this commercial, you know, I could totally see Elon, you know, almost handing over some keys to him to sort of drive some of the shit.
I could totally see Polaris as like if Axiom is the commercial, not, I want to say the commercial wing, but like the commercial buddies of NASA. Like if you see like Axiom, they have a lot of private, they've done a private astronaut mission. They're looking at building a commercial space station. So like, they're highly, not favored, but highly looked upon by NASA for their commercial needs. I could totally see Polaris being that favorite kind of like company or entity for SpaceX. To be like, yo, we need astronauts, but we don't want to do it through NASA. And Polaris is like, well, these three people have flown before on Polaris programs. Like, you know, maybe they just keep
they'll start grooming more astronauts. Yeah,
they just they try doing more and more. Like right now, it's just a Polaris Dawn. It's just one flight to do a spacewalk, and then you have the second mission, which is possibly the Hubble service, like Hubble boosting, Hubble type S, whatever that would entail mission. And then the third mission would be the first crewed flight of I don't know. I think they said they want to do the first crewed flight of Starship, or just a crewed flight of Starship. So,
but the two of them, I mean,
after
like,
that,
just like I guess entrepreneur to entrepreneur, and obviously space enthusiast to space enthusiast, they both seem to have similar goals as far as like what they want to do. You know, they line up. It seems like they line up and check a couple of boxes along the way. So it'll just be interesting to see what their relationship kind of blossoms into over the next decade.